Hello everyone and welcome back to the good stuff. We are back at the 1921 World Chess Championship match between Raul Capablanca and Emanuel Lasker. This is game 13 and Capablanca is still 3 points in the lead. So this is it's an interesting game, but it's an interesting game for a specific reason, which you will very quickly see. So without further ado, let's check it out. We've had enough of the chess 960. Now let's go back to the good old Queen's Gambit declined. Capablanca opens with d4. With d5 by Lasker, knight to f3 and knight to f6. Sorry about that. With c4 and e6 by Lasker, we've entered the Queen's Gambit declined with bishop to g5 and now bishop to e7. E3, now closing the structure after developing the bishop, like the way Capablanca likes it. Knight bd7, preparing c5, knight to c3, and here Lasker castles. We have rook c1, continuing development, and rook to e8 by Lasker. We have queen c2, preparing bishop to d3 to put pressure on the h7 pawn, and Lasker takes care of that with h6, with bishop to h4, and now c5. Capablanca trades once in the center. We have c captures on d5, and now knight captures. Lasker offers a trade of pieces. Bishop captures on e7 with knight captures back. Lasker prefers this to queen captures as less pieces are getting traded off. Lasker would still enjoy at least some complications in the position, as he still has to catch up to Capablanca's 3-point lead. D captures on c5, knight captures, and now bishop to b5, attacking the rook. Capablanca says that b4 probably would have been a bit more energetic, and also it's perfectly safe, but he says he's 3 points in the lead, and he would just like, the title of world champion, and then maybe after he gets that, he will play some interesting games. But okay, after knight captures on c5 with bishop to b5, Lasker blocks, and now Capablanca just castles. Lasker attacks the bishop with queen to b6, putting pressure on the bishop, and also if the white queen moves, the b2 pawn will also be under attack. So Capablanca, like I said, if Capablanca was not 3 points in the lead, if he was just trying to play a nice game, he would probably go bishop back and then, just tuck it in for later and take it from there. But here he just trades with bishop captures, knight captures, and now rook f to d1. So Capablanca's forces are now fully operational. Lasker also has to continue development. He doesn't like rook 8 to d8. He probably wants this rook to keep an eye on the a7 pawn in the case of some queen to a4. So there won't be any queen captures on b2, queen captures on a7, or perhaps something like that. But he decides that this rook belongs to d8, and this rook will at some point come to c8. And here is the very interesting moment of the game where Capablanca plays h3, and later in his analysis he says it's a waste of time, that he should have gone queen to a4 immediately. But h3 is not a waste of time, as you'll see. For example, if he played queen to a4 immediately, there's no actual danger of rook captures on d7, because Lasker can just capture the b2 pawn. For example, queen captures on b2. And now you cannot capture because you lose the rook on c1. Queen captures on c1, and you cannot play rook b1 because you lose the knight on c3. Now, lastly, you could play rook to c2, attacking the queen, but then knight to c5, and the black is just better. Now Capablanca's queen is also under attack, and here you don't really have anything much better than captures, and now to get out of this mess you have to play queen to e8 check and then trade on b2, because if you just go for rook captures on b2 right away, then you get knight captures on a4, and you are unable to recapture the piece, because if you capture, then rook to d1 results in mate. After knight e1, you will just play rook captures on e1 checkmate. So Capablanca actually had it right when he played h3. It's just a useful move, creating some breathing room for the king, and now such combinations are not possible in Lasker's favor. Lasker brings the rook into the game, rook 8 to c8, and only now does Capablanca play queen to a4. And now it's different, because he played the move h3. This actually nicely prepares Capablanca for queen to a4. Now if Lasker was to go into queen captures on b2, it's pretty much pointless, because now rook c2 attacks the queen, and now you have to play b5, sort of a way of trying to trade queens, because here the idea of knight c5, like we've seen in the previous line, has no merit, as king has an escape route. Just captures, and now you're more than welcome to capture here. And after knight captures, now you just capture the knight, you're up a piece, and rook to d1 is nothing because of king to h2. So very interesting how, and this is something that I've seen quite often during the Capablanca saga. Capablanca plays a move, and then during the analysis, I don't think it was actually a serious analysis. It was maybe just Capablanca was checking out the game, since he said, "Oh, yeah, this was probably better." But the move he played was more than once the absolute best, the strongest move recommended by the engine. So Capablanca will often play it in his games, and then later he will say, "Oh, maybe it wasn't such a great move." But okay, Lasker plays knight to c6 now, and here we have queen to b5. Again, Capablanca says, I'm 3 points in the lead, let's just trade everything, and I'm gonna enjoy my lead further on. Lasker plays a6, he offers a queen trade, we have queen captures, knight captures on b6, and now just a nice trade on d8. Rook captures and knight captures, and here Capablanca plays knight to e2, where Lasker, if he doesn't want to trade rooks, he has to play something like rook to b8, but then he allows this rook to infiltrate with rook to c7, which is something you don't want to do. Lasker played king to f8, and here Capablanca played rook captures on c8. We have knight captures on c8, and it was in this position that the players agreed to a draw. It's a pair of knights against a pair of knights, 4 points on the king side, 2 points on the queen side, so an equal position. Capablanca satisfied with a draw, as he's 3 points in the lead, and Lasker not eager to push for anything here, as he might even lose it. So he's gonna look for his chances in the next game where he has the white pieces. Also I wanted to mention that the last video in the Capablanca saga will be the last video in the Capablanca saga. I just wanted to ask you, as we're gonna do a sort of a conclusion video, we're gonna talk a bit more even after the game about Capablanca and everything that happened during the saga and after. So do you want that in the video where I will show the last game between Capablanca and Lasker, or do you want it to be like a separate video, like, well, let's just show the game and then let's talk about Capablanca in the next video? So maybe if you're interested, you're also more than welcome to comment on that. That's the game. H3 move, waste of time, but not really. Capablanca was sometimes funny like that. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Patrick Pogoda, Max Van Hotum, and Shang Lu for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing the Capablanca saga for one more video, checking up on your suggestions, and we are planning our next big saga. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.